Peace to the gods. Solid and you ain't friendly. Wings spread wide, coming through angelic. Frankincense and myrrh be the essence, you can smell it. Rocking different color stones, niggas think I'm psychedelic. Asiatics can never be gods, let them tell it. Cosmetically groomed, suede blazer with suede shoes. Smooth, don't have to prove that I paid dues. My track record speaks for itself. You hear the language, the dignity you see me with now. Came in the game with, I hang with imperial nobles, wine Kenobis, light bodies, etherically mobile, spiritual OGs, riding around.
My words become things, all hail the king, now I got him walking on water. Covered in the blood of the Christ, a rubber glove in the night. Prophet Muhammad came to restore the order. Spectators sit back and watch, slave ships pull off the dock. Demigods round up the flock, time running short, got a race against the hands of the clock. 2020 something, pull it off the lot. Posted on any block, you say a Henny shot. Pour a libation for the fallen, it's been a lot of death. Thefts, right over left, hard of a line right under my chest. That's a godlike, prolific, godlike. Money longer than sloth and ab, the flock tight. Meditation, slap boxing with Satan. Cracking the
new era time. It's so divine, I put my life on the line. Allah made me so I'm built for the grind. New era time. The truth defined, the 7 chakra in line. I feel we finally coming out of a bind. New era time. A mastermind take you up on the climb. You know the science, see the symbols and signs. New era time. It's all sublime, put it all in my rhymes. And if you seeking, then I know you gon' find. New era time. It's so divine, I put my life on the line. Allah made me so I'm built for the grind. New era time. The truth defined, the 7 chakra in line. I feel we finally coming out of a bind. New era time.
I shine like a Cuban link, that polo Snoop Beach, the 9 in the design of me. I'm wise like I designed a Sphinx, was born a righteous king, to rule from New York to Mozambique.
All right, peace, wars. Hopefully everybody can hear. Make sure you go and support those artists that were playing. Once this is over, go on and rewind this back, watch those clips again. Make sure you go and subscribe to everybody's platform, Spotify, all of that good stuff. Now, today we have a special guest, our brother Devonte Bennett Bey. He's an author, he's a father. He's going to be speaking about fatherhood. Brother actually wrote a book about fatherhood. This topic really should be of the most importance to all of us because the Moorish family is sacred, right? It's so sacred that we should be willing to fight for our families. Anything coming to try to destroy, break up our household, whether it's from within or the outside world, we should be willing to fight as warriors to keep our family together. And you know, in all honesty, as Moorish American Muslims, as part of our religion, we're bound by law as men to protect and provide for our families. So this is definitely something that should be of the utmost importance for all of us, and we all need to understand what the family is really about, and also what being a father is really about, because like the roles that we have, the things that we do often get pushed to the margins. You know, is the role of the father just in general gets laid down. So this is going to be very important. So I always ask this for everybody watching, please hit the like and share button. Before we get started though, we always give honors here. Rise giving the highest praise to the Most High, the Creator, our Father God, Allah, whatever you call the Creator. Over here we say Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality, for helping us to uplift ourselves, fallen humanity. And we give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and honors to everything Moorish. Honors to all the light bringers out there. Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to the True and Living Light Bringer Moors in America. As always, I'm your brother, Louis Douglas Hill, also known as Sharif Ali. Here, we are uncovering and bringing glorious light to all issues pertinent to the Moorish American paradigm. And some of these issues that are important in the Moorish American paradigm, like what we're talking about today, this should be of the utmost importance to everyone, regardless of what your ethnic background is. But that's what we do here. We uncover, we shine light in the darkness. What we do here in Moors in America. So hopefully everyone is having a great afternoon. If you wouldn't mind, please share this broadcast. Share it with your family and friends. When we come back here, we're going to expand further on the topic. You don't want to miss it. So relax, grab your popcorn, share this. In other words, grab a friend. And you know how we do here. If you're new here, you're about to find out. Don't go anywhere.
I am not a Negro, black, colored, African American. I'm a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soared through the shores and endured criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, face a Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Peace, everybody that's here. Just want to ask one more time before we really get started. Everybody click that like and share button. We're glad that you're here. This is a very important topic. I think something that can all of us should be able to relate to, whether you have children or not. Today we're going to be speaking with brother Devonte Bey. Excuse me, Devonte Bennett Bey. We're talking about fatherhood and family just in general. This brother is the author of 4 Steps to Engage Fatherhood. He's also a father of 3 and a husband of 10 years. And he's got a lot going on. The links are in the description for this brother's website and also to link up with him online, right? So make sure you check out those links after this broadcast. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this brother in. Um, Peace, brother. It's great to have you on here. It's
Peace, bro.
definitely a pleasure.
Oh yeah, man.
Definitely a pleasure.
It's long
I
awaited,
just
man.
want to say before I ask you anything, man, it's great like just being friends with you on Instagram or following you on Instagram, you know, and seeing the pictures you share of your beautiful family. It's amazing and that's powerful. Just that imagery, just you know, doing things with the family, just things that we tend to take for granted, man. It's powerful and we don't really see images like that portrayed in the media that often or you know just in general, you know. And I know just growing up and just being a young man, there were times like where I knew people and didn't even know that they had a family. Didn't know that
Man,
they had children, you
man.
know, people kicking it, you know. And it's like, wow, you know. But please, brother, tell us something about yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, and what led you to writing the book and just let us know about you, brother.
So man, well, my name is Devonte Bennett Bey. Or sorry, I am Devonte Bennett Bey. You know how it goes. I'm very grateful to be here. First and foremost, man. Like this is long awaited. This is a blessing to be on this platform and be able to talk about fatherhood and how it pertains to our specific lifestyle as Moors, man. This is actually I think the first time I've really gotten to have this opportunity to do this. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. But I'm 28. I'll be 29 this year in a couple of months. I've been married for 10 years. This will be the 11th year this year. What else? I'm an ex-Marine. I served 5 years in the Marine Corps. I got out in 2017. I went to work for a couple other companies when I got out, and I realized that I did not like working for anybody else. I was just completely done with it. I didn't like being away from my family. Man, I really did not like being away from my family, and I was just I was tired. I was fed up. I was ready to do something different. I was ready to come in and kind of be more involved with my sons. At the time, I had two sons. I had my oldest was I think about 6 years old. My youngest was like two, something around those lines. And it was just I was missing out on so much of their life, so much of their first experiences and whatnot. I had already missed out on tons of life from my oldest from being in the Marine Corps, but I just couldn't have that with my second child. And so I actually got fired at one point in time, and I decided not to go back to work. Me and my wife decided to just start focusing in on our business. We started out with doing photography, and that led to us kind of getting into the social media field. My son, actually, my oldest, was in the social media field pretty young. He was doing comedy videos, and my wife was trying to get him into acting. And that boosted up people to start asking questions about our family lifestyle and kind of how we did things. And we just decided to start sharing it. I went back to school for about 2.5 or about 3 years. I'm almost done with my degree. I never finished it because the business started taking off, so I didn't really have a need. I went to school for psychology, and while I was in school, I was studying psychology and child psychology, but I was mainly focusing in and honing in on fatherhood, which it's not its own degree, there's not its own study or anything like that. But I was just really trying to hone in on that because I was trying to be a better father. I realized that there was a lot of things that I wasn't taught growing up that I had lacked, like emotional intelligence, just a lot of problems and stuff that I realized that I needed to fix if I wanted to be the man that I wanted to be. Around the same time, I actually started digging into more science. I believe it was 2018 when I first read the Quran, the Circle Seven, and man, it changed my perspective of the world. It really hit me home about how I wanted to be a father or what I wanted to impart to my children. It started to make me understand more so my responsibility as a father and as a husband. And yeah, that led to me writing the book, 4 Steps to Engage Fatherhood, which is basically just, it's not a memoir. It's not a memoir at all. It's actually 4 steps based on an English project that I did while I was in school. And it was to solve the problem. We had to pick a problem to solve in the United States. And I picked fatherhood because as I was researching, I realized that basically every single problem that we've been facing, they all have at least one thing in common, but the one strand that I found in common for pretty much everything was missing a father, all the way down to underage pregnancies, all the way up to people being in jail for life. The missing link was fatherhood. People didn't have their fathers, and I just started studying that more, and yeah, it led to me writing the book to kind of introduce to fathers the importance of our job, because I feel like a lot of us, we don't know, and you can't be mad at what you don't know. Can't blame people for what they don't know. Society has made it so that we don't know, what our real purpose is here as fathers. But I wanted to change that. I wanted fathers to understand and know just how important our job really is. And it all starts with learning how to engage our children correctly and how to understand our children. And then, the rest, I guess, is how they say history.
Man, I just want to say what you're doing is powerful and it's needed. Some of us either didn't have examples of fathers in our life at all, or we just didn't have good, solid examples, of,
Exactly.
masculine, fathers. And so we're just out here just stumbling, trying to figure things out, you know? And I'll just be real, some of us out here like that. I might be speaking for myself right now, 20 years in
Hey,
the game,
man.
still trying to figure it out because, like, I don't even think I, really had good examples. And I know other people like that too. So it's like, we really like, are trying to figure something out, but all of us don't have solid, examples to
It's literally
follow.
like trying to solve a puzzle without having all the pieces. Exactly like you said. Like, we don't have the example. Like, how am I supposed to know when I started studying fatherhood? Not before I even started studying fatherhood. When I started really just digging into who I was and my own childhood and upbringing, and the whole psychology part of it, it's exactly that. I was like, I didn't have good examples. I think, was it my biological father? He's not in my life. He came into my life around 16 years old. I was raised by my stepfather all the way up until I left the house at 16. But he he had his own separate issues. He didn't have his father. His father wasn't there, so he had a bunch of childhood traumas that he basically passed down to me, that I was trying to prevent from passing down to my children, because I didn't necessarily like my upbringing. But it's like you said, you can't. A lot of people don't have that example. Most people don't have that example. Most men, especially nowadays, it's more common for, or I say now, I'm gonna say nowadays, but the generations prior to us, to mine, it was more common for your father to not be there. That was a common thing. Like you said, I remember growing up with people, and if there was two parents in the household, it was like you were a rare breed, especially if it was both your biological parents. Man, it was like you have something special there, and you can't expect men. How do you become a man when no one teaches you how to be a man? You know what I'm saying? No one teaches you how to be a father. You just kind of learning from whatever society's giving us, and society ain't giving us nothing.
That's right. And to add to what you're saying, like, because for me, because I'm 43, so growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was like less than half of the people I knew actually lived with their mom and dad, and then
Exactly.
there was a portion that just lived with their mom all the time, and so
Right.
and then coming into the 90s and then the 2000s, there was a shift where it was like we were being pushed to see that as a badge of honor. Like, you don't
Bro.
have a dad. And that was like a whole nother mind, a whole, that was like mind control. It's like, wait, hold up. So there's a whole generation of men now who are adults, who grew up thinking it was, like the brother said in the
Bro, it's
chat,
a badge of honor.
it was
Yeah,
hardcore. Yeah. You ain't had no
like,
dad.
man.
Yeah. I ain't need no dad.
Right.
Like,
I ain't got to
and
be. I
it
know how to
was
be a
just
man.
like,
I taught
wow.
myself how to be a man. Bro,
Yeah. I'm going to
remember seeing
raise
that all the
myself.
time.
I'm going to change my own diapers. Like,
That's what
literally.
I
Like,
saw. That's literally what I saw growing up. And it was like after when I was mad young, when I think I was like 13, 12, 13. Actually, I moved to a more, forgive me for saying it, before, a more black community. Moved to a more primarily black Moorish community when I was 10. When I got to that community, like you said, bro, it was literally it was a badge of honor. And I started to realize that we were just a bunch of blind kids leading,
Yeah.
trying to be like we was the blind leading the blind. It was like, okay, I don't got a dad, but this is what men do. And it was like, okay, but how do you know what men do when you don't got a dad?
Exactly.
Well, this is, and it was like it was always like that. I remember when I got into, I didn't get heavy into it, but when I was 13, I had got into gangs. I wasn't really ever a part of a gang, but I definitely hung out with a lot of gang members, and it was for the simple fact that I was trying to be around more men. That to me, when I got to Moreno Valley, I identified brotherhood with gangs because that's the only group of men I ever saw, especially that looked like me, that were getting together. Yeah. I never saw anything else, and so it was like, well, I'm a young black man. I guess I'm supposed to be in a gang.
Yeah.
And then when I got into it and I started hanging out with them, I was like, but no, none of y'all know no one knows what's going on. Y'all just following, like, you're just following him who's following him, who he's still sitting on the block and he's been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, it was terrible. It was detrimental.
Definitely. And that's why you would have the issues like I guess you say late 90s, early 2000s, you would have people who would be in a club and, somebody would get killed because somebody stepped on their shoes. Somebody spilled a drink on them, like over fashion. People, not even trying to steal the shoes, just, you scuffed the shoe.
Right.
And so these are, a lot of men that don't really know how to be men. And, that's like, seriously, I'm just saying, man, that's a real issue,
It's huge. Like, and it's just, I can't even say, it's not unexpected at this point where I am now with what I've studied. And I give complete honors. First off, honors, all praises and worship due to Allah because he's guided me down this path. But all honors due to Noble Drew Ali because a lot of the stuff that he put in the Circle 7, it woke me up. It woke me up. I was always on a path to try to be a better person. But when I read the Circle 7, it really made me understand what that person was supposed to be. It started making me think like, okay, society is wrong. Everything. It really put into perspective how rigged and set up everything was. And then I read the book called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And then I realized like, oh no, this is this is a setup. Like it's a real setup. Like
by design.
Setting us up. Yeah, this is by design. Yeah. We out here getting taken advantage of. It was never a coincidence. I never thought it was a coincidence that, a fatherless home led to so much problems, but actually seeing and reading in a book the definition of what they're trying to do or what they were doing and seeing it in action is a whole different story. It just it completely flipped the script. It was like, man, we gotta do something about this. That's why I'm so big about trying to promote it on my platform. It's just because we need more of these examples. I feel like if more men, I don't even feel like I know for a fact that if more men see what we're capable of, if we know the importance and what we actually bring to the table, we're gonna step up because it's in our DNA. It's just when you've been lied to the whole time and you don't know what to believe. It's like, well, I'm focused on I have to provide. If I don't provide for you, how am I gonna raise you in the first place?
Yeah. And so like with what you were saying, just with knowing the importance of the position that we have would give more people, honor and dignity, and would take themselves a little more seriously because you're out here, throwing your life away for nothing. And with removing that father from the home, that's like setting a fire and then just walking off because nobody's gonna put that fire out. We're the only ones who's gonna do it. Even if no one's gonna do it.
No one's going to. No one's gonna. It all comes down to us. I don't say it all. It doesn't all come down to us, but in order for us to get society to where we want it to be, that's what it's gonna involve. Like you said, it involves we the only ones who are gonna put the fire out. So we got to start putting these fires out. We got to start going back in and re-establishing ourselves as heads of the household, but really understanding what it means to be the head, what kind of example we're setting. Like the brother said, what literally fatherhood sets the example. So what examples are we setting? What are we doing as men to show our our daughters what type of man they should look for. What are we doing as men to show our sons what type of man they should be? These are all the parts of it that have been, I guess you could say, swept under the rug. These are the parts that most people aren't thinking about.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And if I could just get everybody, make sure that you go into the video description and follow this brother on social media. Also check out his website. I did just want to show this before we get really started. I saw this Good Morning America that you were on there, or that you were on the, I don't know, the website, or if
I
you were
was,
interviewed. Yeah,
yeah, they did the
just
interview with me, yeah.
yeah, just speaking about fatherhood, and just want to say, man, just to commend you on that, because we need positive examples out there. And Moors, I noticed they pronounce the Bay in there on your name too as well. Like, this is important. This is the image that needs to be out there. That Moorish American Muslims, that Moorish American men, our fathers, our husbands, we value, take care of our family, right? And I just wanted to commend you on that article. I could put that link in the description too later if anybody wants to check that out. But definitely go and check this brother out online. Follow his pages, his platform, and his website. And yeah, brother, if you wanted to say anything about that, please go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, that was actually one of the very first interviews I think I ever did was with Good Morning America. And so I made them. I was like, hey, yo, it's Bay. This is after I had gotten all my knowledge and I had really understood. I was like, nah, yeah, I'm a Moor. I think that's the first video I did in the turban. I was like, yeah, nah, y'all putting it. Make sure you put everything out there the right way. Like, I wanted it to be. I feel like, God, my journey has been so. It's been very spiritual, but it's been so aligned with Allah putting me in these places to be the representation that I never had growing up. If I had known growing up, man, like that we were Moorish, bro, there would have been so many identity issues that I didn't have to deal with. There would have been so many problems. I would have never gotten into gangs. There would have been no need. There would have been that's a whole nother knowledge of self that as a man is necessary to have, to really understand what the purpose is, what our purpose is, to have to gain real legitimate pride in who you are.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
Yeah. It's a must. Like, it's a must.
Yeah, and just to show honors to the prophet too, just in alignment with what you said, the prophet brought us a culture, like everyone else has, or many people, culture. Maybe not everyone, but many people have these rites of passage that the young women and men go through to become adults, and to learn who they are, what they're supposed to be doing ideally, and that's something that we didn't have, man. So all of this is being brought back to us. It gives us, it truly gives us that solid rock of salvation to stand on, right? That you see the prophet on. Yeah, yep. in the Quran questionnaire. And with that, when you're standing on that solid rock of salvation, it doesn't matter where you're at in the world, where you find yourself, you have the solution. You have everything that you need to succeed, to be successful, and to realize your full potential. So that's so important, man. And it's something that, I really think could give young men and women all over the world, confidence, and they can stand on without this is the thing that keeps you out those cares of the world, the gangs, the everything that's being pushed and promoted to us.
Hey, what was it? It's an old African proverb, I think it is, that says if you don't make the child feel a part of the village, they'll burn it down. And it's like, that's what's going on right now. We don't have villages. We don't have villages. We don't have our culture. We don't have any of that stuff because we've been indoctrinated. We haven't learned it. We haven't had the capacity to learn it. And then the people that did know it, we didn't have the ability. It wasn't the time yet for it to let out. Not everybody was ready to hear it now, but I feel like we're coming to that forefront where it's like people are not only ready to listen, but they're taking it in and they're understanding what it is. I think I've had on my platform specifically, and I don't talk about Moorish knowledge. I don't talk about it just simply because I'm not as adept as I want to be, number one. And I feel like I want to talk more about the aspect of fatherhood and being a husband from the Moorish perspective, because I feel like that's going to bring in, that just will add a different type of value that a lot of other Moors don't necessarily aren't bringing in just yet. but I've gotten more questions about being a Moor than being a father, which is
Yeah.
to me like it's crazy. It's like they see the feds, they see the turban, they're like, "Oh, you a Moor? Oh, da 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 da." I'm like, "Yo, bro, have you read the Circle 7 yet? All right, I can't help you. Read that book. Read that book first, and then we'll talk."
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can't tell you about the taxes. I can tell you about it, but I can't tell you all the codes. I can't tell you all that stuff. What I can tell you
Yeah.
is what Allah did for me and how I'm no longer the same man I was because I read this book and now I'm this outstanding father and husband. Like
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what I can speak about. And so
Yeah.
for
And
me, it's very important.
that's the most important part, really, is the personal journey to to realize our true potential, right?
Facts.
That's really the most important part. That's unfortunately a lot of people, I think, leave that out, and maybe it's by design. I mean, people come into the information for different reasons, but it's really
Exactly.
about realizing our true potential, right? Subduing our lower self and realizing or unifying with our higher self,
With the higher
right?
self, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what will uplift us all, so that's really the most important part, so what you're sharing, just the personal development, that's the most important of the prophet brought, it's a personal journey for each and every one of us. Yeah. And man, I think that's powerful anyway, because you can reach more people too, just coming and speaking about fatherhood, because just once again, that's something that all of us can relate to, regardless of what backgrounds we have. And I think one thing about just growing up in America, um, the culture or the climate here has played down the role of the father so much so that it's not
So
just
much.
a black problem. It's something that affects everyone, even to the point where, like, you have people that come here that are immigrants that come from another um, culture that's strong, Nigerians, people from
And deal
India.
with the same.
Yes. The parents or grandparents might not be with it because they have the culture from their land, but once you get here, after like
Bro.
one generation, it's over.
It's over. I was just talking to my wife about that. I was like, it's crazy how we can go and know, or I'll hear people on Instagram, they'll be like, they're Southeast Asian. They'll be literally, I think it was a Southeast Asian doctor that I had a conversation with that grew up in America, telling me about the same issues that we have. I'm like, but you have a whole culture behind you. Your whole culture's behind you. How are
Oh
you dealing
yeah.
with the same thing that
Oh
we
yeah.
have right here? And it's like you said, it's as soon as they get here, dude, that culture don't matter. All that,
Yep.
whatever, is getting tossed out the window. You're going to work. We're removing the father. He's going to be at work all the time. The kids are going to public school. Everyone's getting indoctrinated. Everyone's getting in with this culture that literally society has created, and it's
Yeah.
toxic.
And it is toxic, and that's why you have people like here from Ghana, Somalia, India, and in all of these places, and they have baby mamas now.
Yeah,
They're not, they doing the same thing. Like after one generation, like now you've bought into this, so this is, it's an issue, like you said, that it affects the whole entire community. Like it spreads, it's a wildfire.
It's wildfire. It's
Yeah,
wildfire.
definitely. And
That's
now go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's just it's just like I feel like this aspect, having these conversations whatever or about it, is what's gonna bring it to that. This is the firefighting. This is being able to put it out, because now people are getting the ideas that we didn't, not everybody necessarily had access to before.
Yeah. And just going to your book right now, the brother's book is called The 4 Steps to Engage Fatherhood. Make sure you go to his website and get a copy of that book. But just speaking about this book, if you wouldn't mind, you had mentioned that fathers everywhere are dealing with the misinformation of what being a father is. Could you speak on that?
Heck yeah, man, absolutely. So I believe 1,000% that at least the last 2 to 3 generations of fathers that have lived here in the United States have been essentially brainwashed into believing that our biggest asset as a father is what we can bring to the table financially. We don't talk enough about the nurturing aspects of it. We don't talk enough about the emotional side of being a father, about what it does to the children with having your father around, actually physically there, impacting you, like being actively engaged, not just you see him at 6 o'clock at night for an hour every day. It's your father's taking you to school, your father's talking to you throughout the day, your father's asking you questions. These are the parts of it that we don't discuss. And so these are the parts that people don't find important. We find it more important, how much money am I able to bring, what clothes am I able to buy my son, what outfits, what experiences we can give them, and we don't pay attention to how much just love and nurture, how far that actually goes in a child's life. I believe one of the studies I was reading, and this is also where I got the idea about engaged fatherhood. One of the studies I was reading was talking about the difference between children whose parents or whose fathers specifically talked to them and engaged with them twice a week versus children whose parents didn't. Their fathers did not engage with them. The children whose father engaged with them just like 30 to 45-minute conversations once or twice a day, and actually was like talking to them. They were engaged. They were around often. They saw them. They picked up their children. They played with their children, rough house, tea parties, whatever it was that they were doing to engage them. Those children had a higher IQ 70% of the time. Those children were able to identify problems and solve problems quicker, and they had far more emotional intelligence. Most of those children went on to graduate college, I believe is what it said, and like they had almost zero behavior problems and zero problems at school, just all around. It was these children were literally better prepared just from having small engagements with their fathers. Whereas we don't talk about, we don't discuss it. We're not talking about that. We're not telling our fathers, our dads, that right when you have your child, you need to be giving them skin to skin. You need to be developing that bond. You need to be engaging and just talking to them on a regular basis. We don't discuss it. And so what ends up happening is that our children get neglected by their fathers. And so they grow up with resentment, or they grow up with behavioral issues. Like, man, it's just crazy. Dads solve so many issues that are dealt with at the home, and we don't take advantage of that because we don't know. We're literally not taught. The misinformation is deep. It's to the point where I think you can probably ask damn near any father in the last 20 years, what did you, every father that I've talked to on a spectrum of from ages 30 to like 75. I just had an interview with a man, Dr. Herbert Harris, the other day, who he's somewhere in like 60s, 70s, who's telling me the exact same things that he didn't know, that basically how important it was for him to just nurture his children. He was under the impression that the more and more he could bring in, the more income he could bring in, the job, all that financial stability was more important than the emotional stability that we provide just by being there, being present with our children. And so I wrote 4 steps to engage fatherhood to enlighten parents or enlighten fathers about just how important and how beneficial it is for our children if we just engage them, if we just talk to them a little bit more, if we focus on them a little bit more than we focus on the job, if we focus on home life a little bit more. Honestly, the biggest part about the book is focusing on ourselves. The very first step in it is self-evaluation. And that's because as men, I think I can't even say I think, I know for a fact, it's Men's Mental Health Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I know for a fact that we do not take care of ourselves, our mental health, our physical health as much as we should have, or as much as we should. And so because we don't do that, we do not show up in the ways that we need to show up for our children. Most men work, and because we work, you're going to work from 9 to 5. By the time you get off, most men have a commute. Everybody's pretty much commuting somewhere for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, in their car. By the time you get home, man, you're tired. You're tired. And you're tired because you're probably not eating right. You're not getting enough movement because you're at work all day. You're not able to take care of yourself properly. Therefore, when you get home, you cannot even give your son or daughter the amount of attention that they would want, or that you might want to give them. And you might be tired, irritated, grouchy, hungry, whatever it is. 10,000 different excuses that are valid. That's the problem, is that they're all valid excuses. But we have to decide what's important, what's the priority. And so when we start to really evaluate what our priorities are, we start to see how we should be thinking, essentially, where most of our attention is going. And that's where self-evaluation comes into. It comes into starting to ask yourself the questions of, okay, why am I tired? Why don't I have time to play with my sons? Why don't I have, for me, it was, why are you fat? I was, I think, 280 pounds, pushing 300 pounds, getting off work, and I didn't want to play with my sons. I'm coming home, and daddy, can we play? Can we roughhouse? Can we do something? And daddy's fat and out of shape, man. I don't like, I don't want to play right now. I'm trying to go home. I'm trying to go get into bed and go to sleep. I got to be up again at 4:00 in the morning to get on the train to go back to work. I don't want to play right now. And it wasn't until I started evaluating those problems, or I started looking more, I guess, taking more time to evaluate myself and my issues as to why I didn't want to play, why I wasn't able to show up the way I wanted to. I was able to start making a shift. I was able to start seeing that things needed to change. What I was eating, I needed to change how I was eating. I can't expect to eat pizza twice a day and, have the energy to go run and play with my sons when I get home. I can't expect to sit on the train for 2.5 hours and not move, go to sleep on the train, and then get home and go try to have a conversation with my child. I can't do these things. And so when I started to evaluate where I was versus where I wanted to be, I started to be able to make more changes. I started to be able to create the steps that I needed to make the changes to go where I wanted to go, to be the man that I want to be and show up for my family how I want to show up for them. I've always been for me, raising children or raising my sons, I want them to be better than me. I feel like that's probably the goal for most men, most parents in general, is to make our children better than we are. But we have to understand where we are in order to make them better, and what got us to where we are. If we don't understand these things, if we don't understand these basics, then it makes the journey a lot harder. And so 4 steps is basically just a guide to help people start to understand themselves better and understand their children better. So step 1 is self-evaluation. Step 2 is observation. And that observation is not only observing our children, a big part of it is observing our children and paying attention to their likes, dislikes, their behaviors, all of those things that we see in our children. But it's also observing ourselves. A perfect example would be right now I'm working with my youngest on yelling. He likes to yell at his older brothers. Like, that boy likes to, if he's mad, he's going to let you know, he's going to yell at you. And so I'm trying to express to him and show him that you cannot yell. That's not going to solve your problems. But while I'm expressing it, or while I'm showing him these things, I'm also realizing that I've also been realizing more that he learned his yelling at his older brothers for me yelling at them. He learned. I don't spank my children. I don't get on my children, but he sees daddy getting a stern voice. So if daddy gets a stern voice and raises his voice a little bit to, I guess, express my point, then I think it's okay too. I can do that too. The difference is, though, he's 4. He ain't got no control. So while I'm yelling or I'm being more stern with a purpose, all he does, he just sees me being stern. He just sees that I'm yelling to get my point across. He thinks that's what it is that needs to happen. So the observation process would go something like this. If I want you to stop yelling, where are you learning the behavior from? Okay, you're learning the behavior from me. Okay, so let me go take a step back now. Let me self-evaluate myself a bit. How can I approach these situations where I'm yelling differently so I can show you what you need to be doing, so that if you see me doing it, you can hold me accountable. Daddy, you're not supposed to be yelling. And if I see you doing it, when I tell you, fix up your behavior, don't yell at your brothers, you understand, okay, you're right, we're working on that. So that's observation. That's how the observation process would go. It's getting what children allow you to do is they allow you to get instant feedback to whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're displaying, whatever emotions or actions you're displaying, they're going to display them right back at you. They're literally a mirror. So if I see them doing something I don't like, I got to change myself first. And so that's that process. Then you have implementation, which is the third step. And this is the planning part. This is where, so part of observation, right, is figuring out the things that your children like to do and figuring out the things that you like to do and where they cross. A lot of times when it comes to us engaging with our children, it's hard because we live completely different lifestyles. Children are all about play. They live in their imagination. That's what they do. As an adult, most 9 times out of 10, we don't live in our imagination. We live in the real world at work, and work is not a fun place. So it's harder to come home and engage and get involved with your children when you don't even like the games that your children want to play. My sons used to love, man, I even said used to. They love Lego games. They just love Lego games. We love Legos, but they love Lego video games. I don't like Lego video games because they're too easy. It's boring to me. When I started to realize that, they were asking me all the time, hey, can we play Lego games? Can we play this game? Can we do this? And I started to realize that I didn't like that. I had to go back to the observation phase and figure out, what do I like? What do we like to do? Well, I like to build Legos. Okay, you guys like Legos too. You guys obviously like Lego games. You guys like building them. I don't like the video game part of it. Let's just build Legos. And so now you go to the implementation stage and the planning stage, and now you plan to play with Legos. I would say a lot of the time, the biggest part about being engaged is having a plan and actually sticking to that plan. When you have a plan to engage your children, it makes it a lot easier. It takes the thinking out of it. It takes the anticipation out of it, and it just allows you to stay in the moment and be with them and actually be present with them, which is what it's all about. And then the last step is self-care. And this is the most important step. If you are not taking care of yourself, it goes all the way back to self-evaluation. Then how do you show up for your children? You can't show up and teach anybody or you can't pour into your children if your glass is half empty already. You have to be able to refill your glass. You have to take that time to take care of yourself, and then you can give back to them. Why I have put that at the very last step is because not only because it's the most important step, but it's kind of like the cleanup step. After I've already poured into my sons, after I've given them, I've done all this work to engage them and be present with them. Now I need to go back and reestablish myself. If I just spend an hour with my sons and we just played for a whole hour for this day, I'm still tired. I'm still stressed. My body still has things that it has to do to wind down so I can feel better. Now I need to go take care of myself because I don't want to do this. I don't want to be inconsistent. And Monday we're playing, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm tired because I played with you on Monday. That defeats the purpose. Instead, I want to be able to be like, all right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, these are our playing days. These are the days that we're going to the park. We're going to go spend an hour at the park. I planned for this. I know what's going on. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm at the gym. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm at the gym. I'm taking care of myself and doing my self-care. Friday or Saturday, Sunday, it's me and mommy time. Don't disturb us. Y'all got y'all time. I got my time. Everybody got their time. It's balanced. And that's what the book is designed to help fathers do. It's designed to help fathers bring their lives back into balance with a template that allows them to include their children and actually engage their children with things that they both like to do. Yeah, I'm actually working on volume 2 because there's some things in there that I want to expand upon. But volume 1 is great. It's my first book. To me, it's a treasure that my younger self is glowing because I've always wanted to be an author. And yeah, please get the book, especially with Father's Day weekend coming up. Get the book because it's worth it. It's a good read and it's life changing. It has a lot of information in there that will shift the thoughts of being a father. It'll shift it'll allow you to start seeing what you're bringing to the table, evaluate it, and then shift it, make it better, tear it down a little bit, restart. It just gives you a template, essentially.
Man, everything you said was solid. I'm definitely going to get a copy of the book. I advise everyone else to. Yes,
Get
gratitude.
it this
Yes,
weekend
hit that
because
like
it's gonna be
button
free.
and share. Yeah, and I'm definitely getting a copy, and I advise everyone else too. Make sure you go to the video description and go to the brother's website, get your copy of the book as well. Some of the things that you're saying, just when you're speaking about like the steps, the things that we can actually do to change to make things better, with our parenting and just ourselves. It sounds like Ho'oponopono, which is like one of the ancient Hawaiian spiritual traditions where, for the most part, when you want to effect change, it always goes back to yourself. It's always coming
Period.
back to ourselves. And it's something that we tend to, those that know better tend to forget about,
I tend to
right?
forget, bro. It's too
Self
easy to forget.
examination.
It's too easy to forget. Even myself having written the steps, like after I wrote the book, it was like immediate test. Allah was like, all right, yo, you wrote the book. Now we're about to test you on it. what
Yeah.
you know about your old book?
Yeah.
I started like you instantly forget to evaluate what you're doing. And when no one, I think it's J. Cole that says it, when no one's checking you, it's hard to check yourself. And most people aren't gonna check you on fatherhood. They're not gonna check you on how you're being as a father, because that's between you and your children. And 9 times out of 10, our children don't know how to express the problems that they have to us, and we might not want to hear from them because they're our children. I know for me, growing up, I couldn't tell my parents anything. I couldn't relay. It was communication between us was very rocky. It still is rocky to this day, but there was no ever being able to hold them accountable for what they're doing as parents. And so now as a parent, I make sure to leave the communication open for my sons to allow me to know what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right. That way I can continue to grow. They don't you don't know what you don't know until you've heard it, until someone brings it to your attention. Once it's been brought to your attention, if you don't change it, well, that doesn't look good as a parent. If I'm asking my sons to consistently be their best and I'm not being my best, I'm a hypocrite. I can't ask you to do something that I'm not doing. At least for me personally, as a in the military, when I was in the Marine Corps, that was my biggest pet peeve. If I had any higher up, any sergeant, staff and CO trying to tell me to do something that they know good and well they can't do themselves, bro, I'm looking at them like, okay, I'm gonna get it done, but what's that say about you? Now you look like Boo Boo the Fool. You look like a hypocrite because you're not able to do what you're asking me to do. A good leader, in my opinion, is always capable of doing what he wants his followers to do. I can't tell you to do it if I haven't done it myself. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not going to do or that I'm not already doing. So it's the same thing with my children. If I was going to sit there, perfect example was my son called me fat. He called me fat one day. He was my oldest. I think he was like 5 or 6, and he was just like, "Daddy, you're fat." I was like, like it was just like it was like a whoa, bro, you right. I am fat. Like, you right. I never thought about that. And when he told me that, it was like, okay, I'm fat. So now what I'm doing is I'm telling you guys it's okay to be fat. I'm letting you guys know it's okay to be fat. It's okay to be out of shape. It's okay to be eating crappy and shortening your lifespan. And I was like, that's the example I'm setting for them. So if that's not the example that I want to set, then I got to change it. If he can see that I'm fat and I'm out of shape and he's bringing it to my attention, I cannot get mad at him. I have to fix it. I gotta fix it. And so
Yeah.
just taking that mindset to all aspects of my parenting. That, like, I take what my son says with a grain of salt. I definitely listen to them all the time, but I take it with a grain of salt. Like, my son will be like, "Daddy, you yell too much," and I'll talk to my wife about it. We'll have a conversation. She's like, "You're not yelling. You talk to them in a stern voice," or she'll bring it to their attention that I'm talking to them in a stern voice. But it's still those things of, okay, you don't like that. I need to be aware that that's something that you don't like that might mess up our communication. That's not gonna me talking to you in a stern voice might not be getting what I need to get across. Or it might be doing it, you might just not like it, and you just gotta get over it. But being able to have that open line of communication to where they can tell me these things, they feel comfortable telling me these things, allows us to build our relationship together. It allows us to build each other. Our children are, in my from what I've been able to gather and understanding, they're the closest and the purest thing, the most pure, untouched anything by society. They come here with whatever knowledge that God's already given them. And so if I can keep that purity pure, then I'm doing my job. If I can keep them to hold themselves at the standard that they are holding themselves at, or increase that standard, then I'm doing my job. If I am feeding them a bunch of stuff that I'm not even living by, then they're gonna look at it. They're gonna toss it to the wayside. They're not gonna pay any attention to it. If I tell them, like, I guess another example would be with religion. I tell my sons, tell them blue in the face. They know they're Moorish. They know we ain't black. They know all that stuff. But I don't force them to pray 5 times a day. When I first started getting into Islam and studying Islam, I was doing it on my own. Fast forward a year and a half later, my sons have seen me pray so much that when my prayer alarm goes off, they pray. I ain't even got to say nothing. They that's what Daddy's doing. We're praying. All right, pray. Okay, everyone says a prayer. We go about it, and it's like the more and more of the positive example that we show, the more we engage them, the more we earn our children's respect, the easier it is for them to learn, and the easier it is for us to parent them.
Amen. That's powerful, brother. And yeah, definitely setting the example. A lot of things that that we just like take for granted. That just we're setting a bad example, and I think the things that we do, like you're saying, speak way louder than whatever we're trying to tell or show. And yeah, so it's yeah, that consistency, man, that's important. One other question too that I wanted to ask you before we start to close this down. You spoke about intentional parenting in marriage. Could you expound on that, please?
Yes. So intentional. Just go back to that word right there, intentional. Everything that I try to do, I've realized that the more things that we do with intention, the better and closer we're going to get to the goals that we want to have. When me and my wife first got married, we didn't really have goals. We kind of just like, hey, I love you. I want to be with you. And so we got married and kind of got into everything. And somewhere along the lines, the first few years of our marriage, first probably at least 6 years of our marriage, we were just kind of going through the ropes, just going through routines, whatever that looked like. For us, it was pretty toxic. We arguing a lot. We weren't being intimate with each other. We weren't really spending time with each other. We weren't doing anything intentionally. And it wasn't until 2020 where we started to really kind of live with more intention, with more of a purpose of trying to be happy together. It started off with that. It started off with, let's just try to be happy. We're going to try to be happy together. We're going to try to be more of a unit. And then it changed into, let's be more intentional about being in harmony. How are we going to go about living our life? How are we going to go about communicating and being together? Then it turned into, okay, let's be more intentional about our parenting. How do we want our children to grow up? What's the goal here? What is the reason that we are doing this? When you start to understand the reason you're doing it, your why, right? It allows you to develop the steps or the purpose that you need to get where you want to go. And that's with every part of life. So we started taking that understanding into how we were building our family and being more intentional with things that we were teaching our sons, the experiences that they were getting, the time that we were spending together to build our own relationship, and then our time with God, our time with as a family out and about, all the way down to our house, to how we're living every single day. The more purpose that we were able to put behind it, the easier it was for us to live. Honestly, it made life easier. It made it more enjoyable. It took away a lot of the stress, a lot of the problems that come with having to think on the fly. Everything was, I won't say everything was organized, but everything was done with a purpose. And so that allowed it allowed for less mistakes to be made. It allowed for more communication lines to be opened up and created, and it fostered just a overall better environment. I really feel like a lot of what society teaches us puts us into routine, puts us into routines and just, I guess you could say, lifestyles that are repetitive, but are not going anywhere. It's almost like we're almost like hamsters on a wheel. My grandfather, I love him to death. He was a CEO of UCLA Medical, but he worked from since before I was born up until the time of like 70 years old, and now he's kind of alone in his house. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, so she's not in the house anymore, and now he's just alone in a big ass house, and it sucks. It's depressing. I don't like looking and seeing him like that, but then at the same time, I look and I see that he wasn't as intentional with how he was going about living his life. A lot of the things when he started to be intentional, started to do things that he wanted to do, came when he was way older than I am. He came when he was like 50, 60 years old towards the end of his career. And that doesn't leave you a lot of life to be intentional and get your goals that you want to have and achieve other things that you want to achieve. So for me, it came down to, well, if I set goals, I want to be able to reach these goals. I don't want to have to work I want to be intentional about how I'm living. I want to live how I want to live, not hurt nobody, and do it my own way. And that's what being intentional is. It's being intentional about what you're doing. It's having purpose behind what it is that you want to do. So, like I said, for us, it looked like getting a tiny house because we wanted to travel. So it's like, all right, we want to travel. Well, then I'm going to build something that's allowing us to travel. I want it to travel with the purpose of, it came down to why are we traveling? And we're traveling now with the purpose to learn about other cultures, other environments, expose our children to other people so that they have a higher chance of success when we get older. Why are we homeschooling? Because I intentionally want to make sure that they know the history that we should be knowing, that they know the skills that they're going to need to survive. Not just because I'm not just going to send them to public school because that's what everybody else is doing, because that's what society says to do. I'm not going to go get a job because that's what everybody else is doing. That's what society has told us to do. That to me doesn't align with my own purpose. It doesn't align with the intent that I have for living my life. So when I was able to when we started to kind of dive in and pinpoint what those goals were, what those mission statements, I guess you could say, that we had for our life, we were able to start aligning or creating steps to put our life on track to achieving those missions. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't ever think about what's the purpose of what am I living for. We're not here to live to die. We're not here to work to die. We're here to live. And so what does living look like? What does that look like to you? What is your purpose in living? Why are you here? And these are literally all questions that, like, they came to us through our relationship, through us maturing in our relationship with Allah. It came, just reading things like the Circle 7 and reading about toil, from Jesus talking about toil. I'm not, if I'm supposed to be happy about work and toil and what it is that I'm doing, I need to be doing something that I actually like. I need to be doing something that's giving me the feeling of it, purpose that I'm supposed to be feeling. I can't just be doing something because that's what my grandfather did, or that's what my mom did, or that's what Uncle Joe told me to go do. I have to do it because it's in alignment with myself. And so that's what being intentional is about. That's what the intentional family is basically about. It's about families taking control back from society and forming their family how they want it. Their family is in alignment with what they want, with their own needs, with what they have, and they feel their purpose is in life.
Yeah, that's powerful.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like in this society, for the most part, people don't stick together, so they don't even get to that point where
They don't.
you realize, hey, we can work together, we can grow together, and then start to figure things out, because if you're getting together, it wasn't really like super planned out. You don't know what you're doing, right? But if you actually stick together, you might be surprised by what you two can overcome and accomplish, right? We don't, a lot of us, we don't get to that point. Like personally, we've been married for 20 years. And so, like, people, they're not getting to that point anymore. And a lot of that comes from us not really valuing ourselves,
At all.
So we don't do
at
that.
all.
Yeah, there's
We
no
don't we
way
don't
we're gonna
value ourselves.
value. Yeah, if we don't value ourselves, there's no way we're gonna value this union that we're creating and see it
Like what do you
like you
mean,
said, the world, like, it's kind of like us against the world. We have to build our legacy and secure it, and we have to
bro?
see it like that, or no
Bro,
one will.
literally, it's literally what it is. It's literally us against the world. It comes down to, okay, so if it's us against the world, then what are we doing? Like,
Yeah,
what's our plan? Because that's
yeah,
it. We don't. You look at. I know a lot of people who have children based off of a one night stand with someone that they would never been with. And it's like that's because that's the not living with intent, not living with purpose. You being with this person, is that aligned with your purpose? Is that did this incident that happened is that aligned? Is that like are you going in the direction that you want to be going, or are you just kind of letting life hit you left and right, and you just taking whatever's given to you? Because the one way leads to where you want to be at. One way is going to lead you to your most successful self. The other way is just going to lead you down a path that you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know
yeah,
what could happen.
yes, yeah,
I hated
man.
living like
That
that,
that might be a whole other book, man. Just
bro.
living with intent, man.
Bro,
Seriously, man. I mean, it goes against the programming, like the mainstream programming. Just YOLO, just do whatever. Just put this
it's
stuff into your system. You got to stay messed up. You
it's
need
all
something
about
in your
legacy.
system all the time. You
It's
got to be under the influence. But
For
yeah,
me, it's all
I,
about legacy. Like you said that word earlier, legacy, and it's literally all about legacy. It's
yeah,
like if you have especially as a man, if you and as a father, I, what am I leaving behind? What's the legacy? What's the plan? What's the
yeah,
plan? Because like
yeah,
if I had all these kids, or if I had if I had my sons and I had my wife and I was to die tomorrow, what what did I leave them, and what did I do it all for? Did I just party every weekend? Did I actually leave behind something that is of value? Or was I just here? Was I just here? He was just here. And it's like I don't want to be I was just here. I want to be someone that I brought value. I did something. I left my family something. They're gonna be able to survive without me. They're gonna be able to remember things that daddy did with intent. Daddy taught me this with purpose. He gave me purpose. He helped me find my own version, or my own best version of myself. I don't want to be a well, my daddy died early, and so I guess I'm going to school because everyone else is going to school. I guess I'm gonna get a 9 to 5 job because everyone else has a 9 to 5 job. I just, he didn't leave me anything. He
yeah,
didn't give me anything to help push me and motivate me or go to the next level. There was no intention behind how he raised me. There was no My family's not together anymore because they were just together for whatever reason, and now it's split apart. Like I've seen too much of that, and it's damaging. It's damaging
yeah,
to the community. It's damaging to the individuals. It's it's damaging, and I feel like it's a major part of why our community, why the society that we live in is now how it is, all
yeah,
around.
yeah. It's
This lack of
insane, and
intention.
like we have to have that structure. You need the balance. You need the masculine and the feminine. You can't just have children and just like send them out into the world, just figure it out. That really makes no sense. I mean, you
It
got to have
doesn't.
some guidance there, or at least to provide a plan. Well, here you don't know what to do. You can do this and figure your way
Anything.
out. Something. And I just want to plug this real quick. Just speaking with that, for anyone out there just searching, wanting um to pull out the potential that you have within you, go to go to www.40daymastersystem.com. This is a book that my wife and I wrote a while ago, several years ago. It's not just a book, it also has an audio system that uses neuro linguistic programming to help you realize the power, the hidden potential that you have within yourself. And that's 40daymastersystem.com. You can download it, you can put it on your phone, computer, whatever. And this is
I'm
a
about to get that
powerful
myself,
system.
man. Shoot.
Yeah, it only takes 40 days really to pull out effective change within yourself. So I advise everybody to go and get that www.40daymastersystem.com. We actually wrote that while living overseas in Brazil. We moved
Hey,
out there with the children and everything. But this just going back to where you're at, like I think it's powerful. It's great to meet other fathers, other families right? They see the importance of family, holding things together, going through your journey in life together and growing together. That is a powerful thing. Um, I think it's crazy that like nowadays most of us don't even realize how powerful that is, to grow with somebody, especially if you're at similar ages. We're going through all of these things, and even though we're two
Together.
different people, to do it together, man, is powerful. That's
It's
something that
powerful.
we should cherish and not allow anything to tear that apart. And it multiplies the power that we have, individually, right? Because the two
Exactly.
shall agree together. Like you can accomplish anything.
Anything.
Just going
Literally,
back to that,
bro.
and then
Anything.
especially
Literally
bringing
anything.
children into the picture, right? This is, it's of the utmost importance that we begin to realize the power of our families and, the importance of working together as a unit. And I know everybody's not together, but still working together as a unit,
As a
to raise
unit,
our children,
we
you
don't we
know?
don't realize that's the, like, it's literally, it's a unit. Being military, when I realized I had 3 sons, the first thing that came to my mind was we have a fire team. I have a fire team, dude. I have a legitimate team
Yeah.
that I can train, I can teach, I can build upon, and then when they come of age, they are assets. They're assets, and it's like when you don't identify that your family is, like you said, it's the unit. It is the unit. It's the unit. It's not just a unit. It is the unit. It's your unit. It's your. There's so much strength in it if you just tap into it. If you really just pay attention.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. I think that's a great way to end this broadcast, man. Wow. Definitely people go back, rewind this, watch it, and also go to the links in the description. Get a copy of this brother's book. Um, you can get that on the website. Everything's in the description. As we close out though, brother, if there's anything that you would like to share, please feel free to speak.
Man, just be intentional. Honestly, um, I'll drop this one last thing because me and my wife, we just dropped our intentionally intimate 30-day sex fast book. But I want to say, guess, about being intentional is everything that you do it with intent. A lot of since we've dropped this book, we've seen a lot of people that. Now, I'm talking about sex because it's what the book's about. But we see a lot of people that have talked about how they don't have sex in their marriage, they have a sexless marriage, and they've been doing it for a year or so, and nothing has ever changed. And the thing about what I've really come to realize about with being intentional is when you do everything with intention, including, like, that's why I feel like our book is so important, especially right now, is that we chose to intentionally not have sex and replace it with something else because it was my intent, and the transformation came from the intent. Just live more with more intent all the way around. Don't do anything unless you do it with a purpose, with intent, with knowing the goal that you want to obtain at the end of it. Don't just do it just to do it. If you work in a 9-to-5 job, man, work the 9-to-5 job and understand what the purpose of the job is. Do it with intent. Do it with purpose. Do everything with purpose. Just keep the purpose in mind.
Amen. Amen. And you don't even have to have all the steps figured out. Just know what direction you're gonna
Just know
go
the
in.
direction. That's
Yeah.
it. Just know the direction. That's it. That's step one right there. Know the direction. Know where you want to go. Everything else will start coming.
Yeah.
And man,
All
trust
right.
God. Trust Allah.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Trust Allah. Like, just trust Allah.
That's it. Have faith. Yeah, man. Gratitude for coming on here and sharing. It's
Hey,
been a
man, thank
pleasure,
you.
man. I'm sure we'll collaborate again in the future. Everybody,
Yes,
once
we
again,
will.
just go to the description to follow this brother and to check out his website, get a copy of his book. It's been a pleasure, brother. And on that note, we're gonna go ahead and close this out.
All
All
right, brother,
right,
man.
peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Peace. Have a good one, brother.
Gratitude. All right, peace.
Fez Caps blends Moorish style with modern streetwear hats. The cutting-edge design features Moorish symbols with a silk tassel on the dome of the cap. More than just a fashion statement, Fez Caps represents something powerful and ancient within you. Go to fezcaps.com to order your Fez Cap now.
Don't let your history start at slavery. Join with Moorish Science Temple, a lawfully chartered Islamic organization, and proclaim your nationality while helping us uplift fallen humanity. Founded by American prophet Noble Drew Ali and consistently promoted plans for the betterment of humankind. We are located in Columbus, Ohio. Visit our website www.moorishamericans.com and follow us on social media. We hold live meetings on Zoom every Friday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Give us a call at 614-407-4394 if you would like to join or send donations to help us uplift fallen humanity.
Hey, Moors, make sure to check out this Airbnb description. All you have to do is type the title you see up here, Charming Moroccan Themed Getaway. This is Moorish American owned Airbnb, and it's in the Pacific Northwest. Let's see, Tacoma, Washington. Make sure you check that out. You can just type those words, Charming Moroccan Themed Getaway. We'll see if we can put that link in the description, and that is available. So anybody that's going to be in that area, Tacoma, Washington, make sure you check that out. Moorish American themed and owned and operated Airbnb. Once again, too, Moors want to tell you, make sure you get a copy of the 40-day master system. This is digital. You can download it to your device. This is for personal development, bringing out the power that you have within you. You don't believe you have that power. You do. Everybody does. And that's www.40daymastersystem.com. You can download it to your phone. You can also put it on any device. 40daymastersystem.com. Peace.
Highest quality handmade fezzes. Crafted fez with the finest wool, complete with tassel and leather sweatband. Wear the national headdress of Moorish Americans with pride and respect. 3XL size fez is a comfortable fit for brothers with dreadlocks. Shipping worldwide. Go to moorishfez.com to order.